When looking for the best gaming monitor for PS5, you'll want a display that can take advantage of all of the PS5's features. The console supports 4K content up to 120 frames per second with HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, so 4K monitors that support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth can make full use of the console. We've bought and tested more than 275 monitors, and below are our recommendations for the best gaming monitors for PS5 that you can buy. Let's get started. Best monitor for PS5. The Samsung Odyssey Neo G8S32BG85 is the best monitor for PS5 that we've tested. It's a fantastic gaming monitor with a 4K resolution that helps deliver sharp images, making it the best 4K monitor for PS5. While the console can't take full advantage of the monitor's high 240Hz refresh rate, you can still play 4K games up to 120 frames per second without issue, thanks to its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. Its 240Hz refresh rate is also great if you want to use it for PC gaming. However, if that isn't important to you, the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7S32BG75 is nearly the same monitor with a 165Hz refresh rate and costs less. When gaming at 120Hz, the Neo G8 delivers a fantastic gaming experience, with almost no noticeable blur and incredibly low input lag. Its variable refresh rate (VRR) support also works with the PS5 to reduce screen tearing. If you care about picture quality, you'll be happy to know that it displays deep blacks, and the mini LED local dimming feature helps further improve the contrast in dark scenes. It also gets bright enough in HDR to make larger highlights pop. Best upper mid-range monitor for PS5. If you want to save some money and still want a high-end option, check out the Sony InZone M9. You don't get the same remarkable picture quality as the Samsung Odyssey Neo G8S32BG85 because it doesn't have mini LED backlighting. It doesn't have the same deep blacks with minimal blooming as on the Samsung, but it still has an okay local dimming feature. Regardless, what makes this great for the PS5 is that it's a Sony product with a few features that only the PS5 can use, like Auto HDR. Tone mapping, which optimizes the HDR performance and settings based on the game. Its design shares similarities with the PS5, meaning it'll look great on your desk next to the console. For gaming performance, it has a great response time with both 120Hz and 60Hz signals, resulting in smooth motion. It has low input lag for a responsive feel and VRR support to reduce screen tearing. As expected, it works without issue with the PS5 as it has two ports with HDMI 2.1 bandwidth for high frame rate gaming on the console. Best mid-range monitor for PS5. If you want a mid-range monitor for cheaper, consider the Gigabyte M32U. It doesn't have the same proprietary features as the Sony InZone M9, like Auto HDR tone mapping, and it has a worse edge-lit local dimming feature, but this is normal as you'll need to sacrifice picture quality for something cheaper. Still, it's excellent for gaming thanks to its fast response time so that your favorite games look crystal clear with very little blur behind fast-moving objects. It also has low input lag, ensuring a responsive gaming experience. It's fully compatible with everything the PS5 offers, supporting 4K 120Hz gaming thanks to its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. While it doesn't support the full 48 gigabits per second bandwidth of HDMI 2.1, you won't have any issues playing 4K games up to 120 frames per second on it. The 32-inch screen offers an immersive gaming experience, but the Gigabyte M28U is a similar alternative that costs less if you prefer something smaller. However, it doesn't get as bright and has worse ergonomics, meaning the M32U offers the best performance. Best lower mid-range monitor for PS5. If you still find the Gigabyte M32U too expensive and want to save money, the LG 32GP850B is a good choice in the lower mid-range price category. As you go down in price, you also lose out on features that higher-end monitors have, and in this case, the LG has a lower 1440p resolution, so images aren't as detailed. Luckily, it downscales 4K images from the ps5, resulting in a sharper image than a native 1440p signal, but it only supports 4K up to 60 frames per second. If you want to play games at a higher refresh rate, it supports 1080p 120Hz, but has some issues with 1440p signals. If you want something without those issues, the LG 27GP850B/27GP83B is a good alternative that costs less but is smaller. Unfortunately, the 32GP850B doesn't support HDMI form VRR, which is the VRR format that the PS5 uses, so you might see screen tearing in some games where the frame rate changes a lot, but most 1440p monitors don't support HDMI form VRR anyways. You still get excellent gaming performance as motion looks incredibly smooth, and the monitor has low input lag for a responsive feel. Best budget monitor for PS5. The Gigabyte M27Q is a good alternative to the LG 32GP850B if you're on a tighter budget or want something smaller. It also has a 1440p resolution, but it has a smaller 27-inch screen, and it's a step down in gaming performance. The biggest trade-off is the slower response time, but while you'll see more motion blur than on the LG, the overall motion handling is still great. Besides that, it works as expected with the PS5 as it supports 1080p and 1440p games up to 120Hz and 4K games up to 60Hz. However, without HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, you can't play 4K at 120Hz games on it, and VRR doesn't work either. This monitor offers impressive gaming performance with low input lag and a few extra gaming features. It has different crosshairs available that you can use to give you a competitive advantage in FPS games, and it also has a black equalizer mode that makes it easier to see your opponents in dark areas. It even has a backlight strobing feature to improve the appearance of motion, but you can't use it for low frame rate games on the PS5. Best cheap monitor for PS5. If you're looking for the best PS5 monitor at a low price, the Acer Nitro XF243 Wipe Microx is a good alternative to the Gigabyte M27Q. The main difference is that it has a lower 1080p resolution, meaning images aren't as sharp. It still accepts 4K signals and downscales them, but it doesn't support any 1440p signal from the PS5, which is normal for most 1080p monitors. It has low input lag for a responsive feel and has similar motion handling to the Gigabyte, with a quick response time at 120Hz. The response time at 60Hz is also good as long as you disable VRR on the monitor, but the PS5's VRR feature doesn't work with the monitor anyways, so you won't have to worry about that. Despite its low cost, it's well built and has remarkable ergonomics, making it easy to adjust if you want to share the screen with someone else, and the wide viewing angles ensure the image remains consistent from the sides. It also gets bright enough to fight glare if you want to use it in a well-lit room and has good reflection handling. We hope this video helps you to find the best monitor for the PS5. If this video is helpful for you, then do not forget to like, subscribe, and share the video.